She cheated. And somehow I was the bad guy. She didn't just betray me, she made sure everyone believed it was my fault. She told our friends I was distant. She told her family I didn't care. She spun her lies so perfectly that I almost started believing them myself. Almost. What she didn't know was that I was already onto her. I had proof. I had a plan. And when the moment came, I didn't just expose her, I made sure she lost everything. What would you do if your partner blamed you for their cheating? Drop a comment below. Subscribe now for more shocking real-life stories because this is just the beginning. So I made sure everyone knew the truth. I didn't see it coming, not at first. To me, everything seemed fine. I worked hard, I took care of her, and I never thought she'd be the type to betray me. But she did. And worse? She made it look like I was the problem. It started small. Little shifts in her behavior. She stopped texting me during the day. Stopped asking about my work. Started dressing up more often even when she wasn't going anywhere special. At first, I brushed it off. People change. Maybe she was just going through a phase. But then the whispers started. Friends started acting strange around me. Her best friend, who used to be friendly, suddenly looked at me with pity. Then one night, we were at a party with some mutual friends and I overheard a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. I feel bad for her, one of them said. He barely even looks at her anymore. Yeah, another agreed. No wonder she had to find happiness somewhere else. My heart dropped. Somewhere else? That was when I knew. I wasn't just being cheated on. She was turning everyone against me. The next morning I confronted her. Not with anger. Not with accusations. Just a simple question. Are you seeing someone else? She scoffed, rolling her eyes. Wow. Paranoid much? I stayed calm. I just need to know the truth. She sighed dramatically, crossing her arms. If I was, it would be your fault. You barely talk to me anymore. You don't even care. And there it was. Not only was she cheating, she was blaming me for it. I felt something inside me shift. The betrayal stung, but the lies? The way she was twisting reality to make herself the victim? That was worse. So I did what she never expected. I smiled. You're right. I don't pay enough attention to you. She blinked, caught off guard. Wait, what? I nodded. I've been distracted. But I'm going to fix that. And just like that, I started paying attention. I watched when she left the house. I checked our phone records. I tracked her car. And in just 3 days, I had everything I needed. A name. A location. And the proof that would tear her lies apart. But I wasn't just going to catch her. I was going to destroy her story. I copied her messages, the ones where she told him she loved him, the ones where she laughed about how easy I was to fool. I recorded her phone calls. Then I started working on my real revenge. I reached out to our mutual friends. I casually mentioned the rumors. And then I dropped just a few pieces of evidence. I didn't give them everything, just enough to plant the seed of doubt. It worked faster than I expected. Within a week, the same people who had been pitying her were now whispering behind her back. The perfect setup. Now, all I had to do was wait. And when the moment was right, she would be the one with everything to lose. I waited patiently. I didn't need to rush, she was already digging her own grave and all I had to do was let her keep going. The best part? She still thought she was in control. She continued playing the victim, telling our friends how distant I had become, how I wasn't the same man she married. She painted herself as the poor, neglected wife, just looking for love where she could find it. And the worst part? People believed her. At least, they did until I started dropping the truth. I didn't come out and expose her right away. That would have been too easy. Instead, I made her unravel her own lies. I started playing along with her accusations. You never pay attention to me anymore, she whined one night. Instead of arguing, I just nodded. You're right. I've been distant. She blinked, surprised. Wait, what? I sighed dramatically. I think we should fix this. Maybe a weekend getaway, just the two of us. Panic flashed across her face for a split second. She already had plans that weekend with him. She quickly covered it up with a fake smile. Oh, that's sweet. But I already promised my friends I'd go out that weekend. I pretended to be disappointed. That's okay. We'll figure something out later. She relaxed, thinking she had dodged a bullet. Meanwhile, I was tracking her every move. That weekend, I followed her. I watched as she pulled into a restaurant parking lot, checked her reflection in the mirror, and walked inside. A few minutes later, he showed up. Her friend. The one she swore she barely even talked to. I took pictures. I recorded everything. They laughed over dinner. Held hands across the table. She wasn't just cheating, she was comfortable. Confident. Like she thought she was untouchable. I let them have their moment. I let them enjoy their little fantasy world where they thought they were getting away with it. Then I made my first real move. I sent an anonymous message to his wife. You don't know me, but your husband has been seeing my wife. If you need proof, I can give it to you. It didn't take long before my phone buzzed. Who the hell are you? I smirked. Someone who knows exactly what's going on. She demanded proof. I sent her the pictures, the texts, the restaurant receipt, everything. Silence. Then, one simple message. Thank you. I'll handle this. I almost felt bad for the guy. Almost. The next part of my plan was even better. I started preparing for the grand reveal. First, I gathered everything, her texts, call logs, pictures, emails, even voice recordings of her conversations. I compiled them into a neat little folder labeled The Truth. Then I printed out screenshots of her messages. The ones where she mocked me. The ones where she said she couldn't wait to be rid of me. The ones where she told her lover she only stayed because she hadn't figured out how to take everything from me yet. She had plans. She wanted to screw me over. But she had no idea just how bad things were about to get. That's when I made the final move. I invited her entire family over for dinner. Her parents, her siblings, even her closest friends, the ones she had been feeding lies to for weeks. She was excited. She thought I was finally making an effort. She had no idea I was about to destroy her. The night of the dinner, she was in a great mood. Laughing, smiling, playing the perfect wife. She had convinced herself that I had fallen for her act, that she was going to get everything she wanted. Halfway through the evening, I cleared my throat. I just want to say how much I appreciate all of you coming tonight, I started. Everyone smiled. She reached for my hand, playing along. That's when I pulled out my laptop. Actually, I put together something special for tonight. A little presentation. She froze. Her entire body went stiff. I airplayed the screen onto the TV. The first image? Her texts to him. The second? A video of them kissing in the restaurant. The room went dead silent. Then the best part of her voice, crystal clear, from the recordings I had saved. He's so stupid. He actually thinks I still love him. Gasps. Her mother covered her mouth. Her father's face turned red with rage. She stood up so fast that her chair tipped over. Turn that off, she screamed. I didn't. I let it play. Every single second. And then when it was finally done, I looked her dead in the eyes and smiled. Still think I'm the problem? She opened her mouth, probably to lie again, but no one was listening anymore. Her own family turned against her. Her father? I raised you better than this. Her best friend? I defended you. I actually believed you. And her mother? She just sat there, shaking her head, whispering, my God, what have you done? I didn't say anything else. There was nothing left to say. I just stood up, grabbed my car keys, and walked out of the house. Behind me? She was left in the wreckage of her own making. But the best part? This was only the beginning. I drove away that night knowing I had just detonated a bomb in her life. The house that once felt like a trap was now her prison, filled with the whispers of disappointment and betrayal from the people she thought would always take her side. But I wasn't done yet. She had spent months turning people against me, making herself the victim, twisting reality until I was the villain in her story. Now it was my turn to rewrite the narrative with the truth. The fallout was immediate. The next morning, my phone started buzzing with messages. Some were from mutual friends, people who had believed her lies and now wanted to apologize. Others were from her family, telling me how ashamed they were of her. But the most interesting one? It was from her. We need to talk. I smirked at the screen. Now she wanted to talk? She hadn't wanted to talk when she was sneaking around. She hadn't wanted to talk when she was laughing at me behind my back. She hadn't wanted to talk when she was telling everyone that I was a cold, distant husband. No. She only wanted to talk now because she had been exposed. I ignored her message. I had nothing left to say. Instead, I made my next move. I went to the bank and removed my name from every joint account we had. If she wanted to be independent so badly, she could do it without my money. Then, I visited my lawyer to finalize the divorce papers. You sure you want to go through with this? He asked. I chuckled. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. And just like that, my next step was in motion. Meanwhile, her life was unraveling. The friends she had manipulated? Most of them had turned their backs on her. No one wanted to be associated with a liar, especially one who had been so bold in her deception. Her family? Embarrassed. Angry. They refused to even look at her. Her lover's wife? Oh, she had been busy. She wasn't just divorcing him, she was destroying him. By the time the weekend rolled around, I got an update from a mutual friend. Her affair partner had been kicked out of his house. His wife had locked him out and thrown all of his belongings onto the lawn. And the best part? She had served him with divorce papers at his workplace. He was crying in the parking lot, my friend told me over the phone, laughing. Poetic justice. But that was nothing compared to what happened next. Because, apparently, his now ex-wife wasn't done yet. She had sent screenshots of his cheating texts to his boss. And guess what? The company had a strict no-fraternization policy. He got fired on the spot. Now he had no wife, no job, and nowhere to go. And that's when my phone buzzed again. It was her. Can we please talk? I shook my head, chuckling to myself. She must have really thought I was stupid. Instead of replying, I did something even better. I called our landlord. Yeah, I just wanted to give you a heads up, I'm moving out. But you should probably check with her name about next month's rent. I won't be paying for it anymore. He sighed. Figures. I heard about what happened. Don't worry, I'll handle it. And with that, she was left alone to deal with the consequences. I packed up my things that evening, only taking what I needed. Everything else? She could keep it. Let her sit in that house, surrounded by the memories of what she had destroyed. When I was done, I left one last gift on the kitchen counter. The divorce papers. She had wanted to blame me for everything. She had wanted to paint herself as the victim. She had wanted to convince everyone that I was the problem. Yeah? She had nothing left. I walked out of that house for the last time, locking the door behind me. And as I drove away, I smiled. Because for the first time in a long time, I was free. The moment I walked out of that house, I knew there was no turning back. She had lost. The lies, the manipulation, the betrayal, it had all caught up to her, and there was no one left to protect her from the fallout. But for me, this wasn't just about walking away. It was about making sure she felt every ounce of the destruction she had tried to bring on me. The morning after I left, I turned my phone back on and checked my messages. As expected, she had blown up my inbox. Please, just talk to me. Can we fix this? You're making a huge mistake. A mistake? I laughed out loud. The only mistake I had made was trusting her in the first place. I didn't reply. Instead, I focused on my next steps. First, I went to my lawyer's office to make sure everything was finalized. She's been calling the office, my lawyer informed me. She says she wants to negotiate. I smirked. Negotiate what? She doesn't have a leg to stand on. That's what I told her. She's panicking. She knows she has nothing to gain here. Good. I assume we're moving forward as planned. I nodded. File the papers. Let her figure out the rest on her own. Meanwhile, her life was falling apart faster than she could handle. Her parents had stopped answering her calls. Her friends weren't interested in listening to her sob story anymore. And her lover? He was too busy trying to pick up the pieces of his own ruined life. That's when I got the call I had been waiting for. It was from her best friend, the one who had once defended her, the one who had believed her lies. I just want to say I'm sorry, she said, her voice filled with guilt. I had no idea she was doing this to you. She fooled a lot of people, I said. She fooled me too, she admitted. I actually thought she loved you. I let out a bitter chuckle. She didn't love me. She loved control. She loved the idea of keeping me as a backup while she did whatever she wanted. She's losing everything, she continued. She got fired from her job today. That caught my attention. Fired? Yeah. Apparently, her boss found out about the affair. I smiled. Perfect. She's saying it's all your fault, her friend added. That you ruined her life on purpose. I didn't ruin anything. She had done that all on her own. Do you think she'll be okay? I paused. I genuinely didn't care. But I knew the right thing to say. She'll be fine, I said. She just has to live with the choices she made. Her friend sighed. Well, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. I smirked. Interesting. Appreciate it, I said before ending the call. Days passed. Then weeks. I settled into my new apartment. I got back into my old routines. Life was peaceful again. And then, one evening, I ran into her. I was at the grocery store, grabbing some things for dinner when I saw her standing in the frozen food aisle. She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair unkempt. Clothes wrinkled. She looked like someone who had lost everything. And in a way, she had. Her eyes widened when she saw me. She looked like she wanted to say something, but she hesitated. I just stared at her, waiting. Finally, she spoke. You're really never going to forgive me, are you? I let out a small chuckle. Forgive you? I tilted my head. For what? Lying to me? Cheating on me? Making me out to be the villain while you played the victim? Her lips trembled. I didn't mean for things to end like this. I shrugged. Neither did I. Silence stretched between us. I miss you, she whispered. I smiled. I don't miss you. She blinked rapidly like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. I stepped past her, not giving her another glance. Because the truth was, she wasn't worth my time anymore. I walked past her without another word, feeling lighter than I had in years. She stood there, frozen in the aisle, watching me leave. But I didn't look back. She was nothing to me now. That moment should have been the end of it. I had exposed her, taken back control, and walked away with my dignity intact. But she wasn't done yet. The next morning, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. "Hey, it's me." Her voice. I nearly laughed. "Why are you calling me?" I asked, already irritated. I don't know how to fix this," she said, her voice trembling. "I lost everything. My job, my family, my friends. I didn't think it would end up like this." I leaned back in my chair, shaking my head. She still didn't get it. "You didn't think about the consequences," I said. "You only cared about yourself. And now? You're just upset that you have to live with the fallout." She let out a shaky breath. "I know I hurt you. I was selfish. But I swear I never meant to destroy everything." I laughed dryly. "You just thought you could have it both ways, huh? Keep me on the side while you ran around behind my back." Silence. Then in the smallest voice, she whispered, "Do you hate me?" I paused, thinking about it. "No," I finally said. "I don't hate you. But I don't care about you either." Her breath hitched. I knew that was the last thing she wanted to hear. Hate would mean I still had feelings. Indifference? That was worse. "Can we at least meet?" "Just to talk," she asked, desperation creeping into her voice. I exhaled slowly. "There's nothing left to talk about." "Please," she begged. I don't want things to end like this." I shook my head. "Things ended the moment you decided to cheat. This is just the aftermath." Then, without another word, I hung up. I blocked her number. She had gotten her answer. I moved on. Life was good. I traveled. I focused on work. I went to the gym more. I became the best version of myself. And then, one night, I got a message that made me smirk. Her best friend. "Just thought you should know she's been telling people she wants you back. That she made the biggest mistake of her life." I stared at the message for a second before typing a simple response. "Too bad. I've already moved on." And the best part? It was the truth. She had lost me forever. And I had never felt freer.